Leo and Squirtle, the beloved pets of the 5th graders, had spent decades confined within the glass walls of an aquarium. From their watery abode, they observed a lively bunch of chatty teenagers striving to graduate from their final year of elementary school. On the very first day of school, Mrs. Salinas, their teacher, disclosed an exciting revelation. She announced a year-end competition where the winning class would embark on a special excursion. Over the next 2 months, the 3 5th grade classes would engage in competitions covering arts, rhetoric, science, and history. The class that excelled in these activities would earn a coveted trip to Magic Land Park. While keenly observing the behaviors of the humans around them, Leo and Squirtle noticed something peculiar about Mrs. Salinas. She couldn't resist indulging in the student snacks and often ended up vomiting in the classroom trash can. From their unique perspective, Leo and Squirtle deduced that their teacher was expecting a baby. Their suspicions were confirmed during an evening parents' meeting at the school. The principal announced that Mrs. Salinas would soon be going on maternity leave to welcome her newborn into the world. The news spread among the students, who excitedly discussed the pranks they planned to play on the substitute teacher. As the parents conversed, some couldn't help but ponder the duration Leo and Squirtle had spent confined within their aquatic home. Leo, prompted by their curiosity, delved into his memories. With a start, he realized that lizards of his species had an average lifespan of 75 years. It dawned upon him that he had been residing in that aquarium for decades, prompting him to sift through his recollections to pinpoint his arrival time. As Leo lounges in his aquarium, his mind wanders back to a distant memory. It was October 1949 when he first arrived here as a tiny hatchling. Curiosity gnaws at him now, making him wonder just how many years have passed since then. Leo, determined to uncover the truth, sets out to seek answers. He knows that the second-year pet might hold the key to his mystery. However, their encounters are limited to the chaos of fire drills. Undeterred, Leo hatches a plan. With a flick of his gigantic tongue, Leo triggers the alarm, sending the classroom into a frenzy. Amidst the commotion, Anthony is tasked with escorting the animals outside while the students evacuate. Finally, face to face with the other pets, Leo seeks out Cinnabon, the wise rabbit belonging to the second-year student. Cinnabon, with his knowledge of second-grade math, becomes Leo's ally in this quest. Through their calculations, Leo learns his age, a staggering 74 years. Returning to his tank, Leo is overwhelmed with sadness. The realization that his days are numbered weighs heavily upon him. He fears the looming prospect of turning 75, a milestone he believes may mark his end. Squirtle, ever the supportive friend, tries to console Leo. He reassures Leo with the notion that captive animals often live longer than their wild counterparts. But despite Squirtle's comforting words, Leo finds no solace. He can't shake the regret that grips him, lamenting the years spent confined within the walls of the aquarium. The lizard lamented its lack of freedom in choosing food, only eating what humans provided. It also regretted never finding a mate. Just as Leo pondered these missed experiences, Mrs. Mallon strode into the classroom, her presence imposing. Introducing herself as a substitute teacher, she declared her intent to overhaul Ms. Salinas' teaching methods. Henceforth, every Friday, a student would take home one of the class pets. Squirtle, upon hearing this, despaired, recalling past hardships when students took them home. However, Leo welcomed the change, seeing it as a chance to escape amid the distraction of the children. The animal thinks that if he does this, he can really live before he turns 75. One day, Summer offers to bring Leo to her house. When he gets to her room, he sees an open window. Leo thinks this is his chance to run away, so he gets ready to break free and climb out. Meanwhile, Summer and her family are in the dining room. After she showers, Summer goes back to her room. Leo is old, so he moves slowly. He hasn't reached the window yet when Summer realizes he's gone. She searches all around the room and accidentally tosses the lizard onto her dresser. At that moment, Leo lets out a cry of pain, and Summer discovers that he can speak. Terrified, she starts to call her mother, but the animal begs her to keep this secret. Otherwise, the humans will try to study it. As she doesn't want the animal to suffer, Summer promises to keep his secret and on Monday takes him back to school. During class, Professor Mallon forbids the children to use their laptops as a study tool and opens a box full of books. After distributing the encyclopedias to the students, the woman orders them to take the books home and study through them. When the classroom is empty, Squirtle asks his friend why he hasn't left and Leo reveals that he enjoyed spending the weekend with Summer. The reptile then claims that the next time a child decides to take it home, it will escape. However, to Leo's surprise, when Friday arrives, Summer offers to take him home again. But it's Eli who gets the job of staying with the lizard over the weekend. Seeing her reptile friend being taken away, Summer asks if she can go and visit him. But Eli's nanny drone forbids her to go near the boy. On Saturday, the boy has a friend over, and they play at assembling Lego pieces. However, Eli's parents make him wear protective clothing so that he doesn't get contaminated by the lizard's germs. The boy is also forbidden to eat snacks like any normal child, and instead, his afternoon snack is cabbage dumplings prepared by his mother. When Eli leaves and the room is empty, Leo tries to escape and almost gets sucked into the vacuum cleaner, which is on 24 hours a day. The animal then uses its tongue to wiggle and falls on the table, destroying the entire Lego city that the boys have put together. When he finally approaches the window, Leo is captured by the robot vacuum cleaner, and his tail gets stuck in it. At that moment, the lizard is dragged all over the house and only manages to get rid of the machine when the family dog shows up to help him. Despite coming out of the attack alive, Leo loses half of his tail but is reassured because he knows it will grow back. While he's talking to the dog, Eli shows up and is shocked to discover that the pet in his living room can talk. Once again, the lizard asks the boy not to tell anyone his secret and decides to help him get rid of that drone as it is preventing Eli from making new friends. So encouraged by the reptile, the boy writes a goodbye letter to the machine, and the next morning they go out into the garden to play together. On Monday when he meets his friend again, Eli reveals that he hasn't managed to escape once more and Squirtle is worried when he realizes that the lizard has lost part of his tail. During the week, Dr. Winger, Jada's father, goes to talk to the school principal to try to convince him to find another replacement for teacher Salinas because his daughter won't stop complaining about Mrs. Mallon. However, his mission is a failure and the old woman remains the 5th grade teacher. Then the following weekend, Jada decides to take the lizard home with her as she realizes that her 2 classmates really enjoyed its company. That Saturday, the girl's birthday party will take place, and she is very sad because nothing is going according to plan. So Leo decides to console her and once again convinces the girl that she is the only one who can hear him, just as he did with the other 2 teenagers. In this way, the animal manages to prevent her from telling her parents that the pet at her school can talk and at the same time helps the young girl deal with her existential crisis. Jada grew up believing that she had to be perfect and that everyone had to like her, so she put too much pressure on herself to ensure that nothing got out of hand. So the lizard helps her understand that she's just a normal teenager like any other and doesn't need to look perfect to win other people's approval because that makes her unhappy. After hearing this, the girl decides to relax and just enjoy her party. During the celebration, Leo rests in his glass cage while he watches the animals trapped inside an enclosure struggling to get hold of the leftover food that the children throw to them from time to time. Those animals were brought along to serve as an attraction and entertain the party guests, but the truth is that they're not happy at all. Upon realizing this, Jada and her colleagues decide to work as a team to free them and open the automatic doors that keep them trapped inside the enclosure. At that moment, the animals start running around and devouring the food that has been prepared for the guests, while people flee in desperation. Leo takes the opportunity to escape and is proud to see all those animals running freely out of the mansion. However, when he hears the youngsters calling his name, the lizard gives up his escape and returns to Jada's arms, who is very happy to see him. Over the next few weeks, all the children in the class get the chance to take Leo home, and they begin to take an enormous liking to him. Seeing his fellow captive getting presents from the students, Squirtle realizes that the lizard has been communicating with him, and that's why he always returns to school instead of running away. Leo then says that he ended up getting attached to those youngsters, and since they started taking him home, the lizard has been secretly helping the children deal with their fears and insecurities. However, the following weekend, Leo will have to go to Anthony's house, who is known for being the bully in the room. Concerned for his friend, the tortoise decides to accompany him this time and finds a way to get into the transport box without the boy noticing him. That night, while Anthony is watching a UFC fight and eating his macaroni and cheese, Squirtle decides to introduce himself, and the boy is terrified to discover that the animal can talk. The truth is that the tortoise was jealous of all the affection and attention the children gave Leo and decided to try to do the same as his friend. The animal then asks why Anthony is acting like such a bully and tries to help him deal with his insecurity because he knows that this is what makes him so aggressive. Unlike his classmates, Anthony doesn't feel smart enough, so Squirtle tries to console him but ends up traumatizing him. So during the night while the tortoise is sleeping, Leo goes to talk to the boy and the two become great friends. The following week, as all the students have already taken the lizard home, Mrs. Mallon reveals that the children will now have to stay with Squirtle for the next few weekends. However, none of the students wants to keep the tortoise and they all argue to decide who will take Leo on Friday. When she realizes how fond the children have become of the reptile, the teacher decides to use it to motivate her students to win the academic championship that will take place at the end of the year. She says that if they don't win the competition, they'll never be able to take Leo home again. This serves as an incentive for the young people to work harder and harder to learn the content taught in class, and they all begin to study twice as hard to win the championship. As time goes by, Leo and the students become increasingly close, and the lizard even gets cell phones as gifts to talk to them at night. However, as none of the youngsters know that the animal is talking to his other classmates, Leo needs to divide his attention between them without arousing suspicion. Furious at his friend's increasing popularity, Squirtle decides to record a video of him chatting with one of the students and sends it to the whole class. In this way, the children discover that the lizard has lied to them and go after him in search of an explanation. When he realizes that he has been found out, Leo apologizes and says that he only did it because he wanted to be able to help each student individually. Just then, Professor Malin arrives in the classroom and sees the animal communicating with the children. Frightened, she sneaks out of the classroom and waits until all her pupils have gone to get the lizard. When she gets home, the teacher scolds Leo for talking to the students behind her back and gradually reveals her greatest pain. Despite having dedicated her entire life to the classroom, Malin has never had her own class, and her career has always been reduced to being a substitute teacher. Because of this, she appears to be such a grumpy, unhappy lady. During the conversation, the animal discovers that Malin also studied at that school and used to be very cheerful during her teenage years. So Leo helps the teacher regain her joy and self-confidence and tells her that she will make her students come first in the competition that will take place the next morning. When the big day finally arrives, Mrs. Malin takes Leo into her coat pocket to watch the competition and is proud to discover that her students are the winners. So the following week, she accompanies them on a trip to Magic Land Park and ends up being voted Teacher of the Year. When she receives the trophy, the woman is very moved and feels proud of herself. When the principal and the student parents come to congratulate her on her work, after leaving school, Malin takes the lizard to Everglades National Park and throws it out of the car. Confused, Leo asks what's going on, and the woman says that now he'll be able to fulfill his dream of living free in nature. On Monday, when the kids arrive in class, they ask where Leo is, and the teacher tells them that he has probably run away. Just then, Malin picks up a note from inside the aquarium and says that it's a goodbye letter left by the lizard. However, the truth is that it's just a shopping list that she made herself and reads as if it were a note written by Leo. When they discover that their friend has left, the children are saddened but try to come to terms with the fact that he is now living the life he always wanted. The following week, as scheduled, Mrs. Malin accompanies the children on the trip and Squirtle decides to go out to look for his friend as he knows it was that old woman who managed to get rid of him. So the tortoise takes Eli's cell phone and uses it to call the drone. Then with the help of the machine, he flies over the city in search of the school bus. Meanwhile, Leo tries to get along with the other animals in the park, but since he has lived all his life in captivity, he behaves in a totally unusual way and ends up alienating the creatures that live there. When he finally finds the 5th graders, Squirtle says that it was Mrs. Malin who took Leo away and only she knows where he is. At that moment, the children press their teacher to reveal the location of the lizard, and the woman has no choice but to tell the truth. When they discover that Leo is in Everglades Park, the class asks their teacher to help them find him, and Malin orders Coach Kimura to change the route. However, the man refuses to follow her orders, so she tries to take the wheel and ends up falling out of the bus. Luckily, the children manage to pull their teacher back into the vehicle, and Malin decides to follow another strategy to get her students to the park. A few hours pass, and Leo continues to try to socialize with the other lizards of his species, but soon discovers that he is unable to survive in the wild on his own. Since being brought there, the animal has been unable to feed itself as the fireflies are much smarter than it. Luckily, Leo is found by the animals he helped free on Jada's birthday, and they help him survive in that hostile environment. While Malin waits for the right moment to put his plan into action, Squirtle decides to hitch a ride on Eli's drone to go after his friend. When they arrive at Magic Land Park, the children follow Coach Kimura to a stall, and while the man buys some snacks, the gang runs back to the bus. Mrs. Malin tries to keep up with her students but ends up falling behind, and the coach manages to catch up with her. Kimura tries to stop the teacher from getting on the bus and is attacked by the drone, which after leaving Squirtle in the park, has returned to help Eli and his classmates. When everyone gets into the vehicle, one of the students takes the wheel and drives quickly to Everglades Park. At that moment, Leo is lamenting the fact that his funeral is approaching and he won't have the chance to make peace with the children. However, upon hearing this, the lizards nearby ask Leo how old he is and say that their species lives to be 100, so he has more than 30 years ahead of him. When he discovers the truth, the reptile is overjoyed and relieved to know that he will have the chance to meet his friends again. While he's celebrating with his new friends, Squirtle appears and asks for forgiveness for having snitched on his friend. After making up, all the 5th graders and their pets go to enjoy the day at Magic Land Park. At the end of the school year, Professor Selena comes to visit her old class and brings her baby so that the students can meet him during graduation. After receiving their diplomas, the teenagers say goodbye to Leo and Squirtle as they will be attending high school at another school. That day, Professor Malin learns that she will have the chance to teach her own class next year and convinces the principal to allow Leo and Squirtle to accompany her. Now these pets will have a new challenge ahead of them in which they will need to learn how to deal with elementary school children. The movie ends here. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.